So yesterday we were discussing the situation with Senator Dianne Feinstein and how Congressman Ro Khanna had come out and called for her to resign, something that we considered quite courageous, given that you are a fellow Californian and you've taken quite a bit of heat for those comments. We're lucky to have you in studio today, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be back here.
Yeah, absolutely. So just, I guess, start with what made you want to speak out in this regard, because, you know, I do think it is probably an uncomfortable thing for you to do, and I don't know if you're hearing from constituents in California. I know you're certainly hearing from other elected lawmakers in California, so what made you want to speak out?
Well, I just said out loud what's been an open secret in the delegation, and that is it's a sad situation. I mean, Senator Feinstein has had a long career, a distinguished career in public service, but she's no longer able to do the job. She's missed 75% of her votes. Senator Durbin then came out and said that it's actually making it hard to confirm judges. It's the one thing that President Biden can actually get done, and he's nominating a lot of qualified judges. She's not there, and I thought someone had to speak out.
Right, and so Congressman, so far, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi is going to put this up there on the screen, guys, says that calls for Dianne Feinstein's resignation are sexist, politically motivated. You referenced that Politico article where people were taking quite a bit of shots at you. I mean, how do you square the Washington reaction to kind of wanting to preserve her legacy by shielding her from any criticism that you, and frankly, I think some 40 million people in California also probably agree with you on, because they're not getting their constituent services done? Yeah.
Well, I just think it's not in touch with what people on the ground are saying, and that is in any job, you're expected to be able to show up. And it's one thing if you have a health issue, you take leave, you come back. But you can't just miss something, have an indefinite date of when you come back, and not be able to fulfill your duties. And it's not just me saying it. It's a lot of her Senate colleagues saying this privately, and people expressing concern about the judiciary. And it's actually just not true that it only affects people based on gender. I mean, this was an argument that people were making with Stephen Breyer, that why he should retire to allow President Biden to fill that slot. And I have tremendous admiration for Justice Breyer. So I think that this is a case where it's more about, can someone do their job?
Yeah.
You were basically called in that Politico article not only sexist, but also ageist and politically motivated. And I want to ask you about that piece, because the theory they laid out is that you've endorsed Barbara Lee for Senate. And Governor Gavin Newsom has said that if that seat was open, he would appoint a black woman, Barbara Lee being a black woman. So you're trying to basically push Dianne Feinstein out to make room for your chosen candidate. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I'm very, very proud to endorse Barbara Lee. She has been the most consistent anti-war voice in the United States Congress, and we need her, in my view, in the United States Senate. It's one of the reasons I didn't run, despite having a lot of encouragement. But this has nothing to do with Senator Feinstein. Gavin Newsom can appoint a caretaker, and he can appoint an African-American woman who is a caretaker who doesn't run. There are a number of them he could pick from in the state. There's the Secretary of State, there's Maxine Waters, there are people in the educational world. So you can support Barbara Lee, believe that Senator Feinstein should step down and not have an impact on the race.
Right, and so
seemed a little tortured to me, just to be honest.
Currently, Congressman, Senator Feinstein, or maybe the people around her, said, okay, we'll square this by saying that she'll step down from the Judiciary Committee and encourage Chuck Schumer to appoint somebody else. But the Republicans would have to agree. You'd have to get 60 votes for allow that to happen. John Cornyn and many other Republicans have already, even Susan Collins, have come out and said, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to vote to help Joe Biden confirm Democratic judges. So we're now at a point where she either has to resign or she can stay in her position. And if she's going to do that, she's going to prevent the judges from being appointed. Now that there are a way that she's tried to square it, have you heard any other agreement with your position, any possible developments? I believe this has all happened in the last 48 hours or so.
Well, I think here's what happened. When I put out that statement, within 2 hours, it had caught fire. And you never know. I mean, sometimes I tweet something out and 5 people like it. But this one, I think, resonated because it spoke to what people were thinking and a frustration. And so Senator Feinstein's team, I think, scrambled, and they put this out there. They didn't look necessarily at all the procedure that had to go, and that quelled some of the fear. And even in my case, if she got off judiciary, if someone else got on judiciary, she'd certainly buy some time. The problem is that now that's not going to be possible. What Senator Cornyn has said is that they will support a Democrat if she steps aside coming on the committee, but they're not going to support her just leaving and temporarily filling it. So I think now the ball is back in her court, and she's going to either have to give a concrete date when she's coming back and being able to vote, or really think hard about how she wants to end her career. And well, the sad part is I think this is hurting her own legacy
For sure.
to drag this out.
Absolutely.
For sure, no doubt about it. Does the public position and private position of these elected Democrats match up? So publicly, they're saying you're sexist and she should retire on her own terms, and how dare you, ask her to step aside, or dare anybody ask her to step aside. But privately, they've got to be not happy about the fact that judges aren't getting confirmed. I mean, brass tacks, one of the most important things that Trump did when he was in office, and one of the most important things that Biden's been doing when he's in office, is getting judges on the bench to rule on issues that are really important to the Democratic base, like abortion rights, to name one. So are you aware of any pressure that's being applied behind the scenes to try to push her to, on her own terms, resign, given the fact that this really is hamstringing the Senate and its ability to operate?
Privately, there are a lot of people who agree with my position, both text and coming up on the House floor. It's hard to, and I understand why they don't want to get out there publicly.
Yeah, you're living it.
It's not an easy thing. I've been open on calling out truth to power where I see it. But there are consequences to it. The easiest way to sort of rise in Washington is just to keep your head down, not say anything provocative, and eventually you become a committee chair or you're on some cabinet position. And that makes people reluctant to take on powerful interests. But I do think people understand the urgency here. I mean, look, you've got a Texas judge who's taking away the abortion pill from millions of Americans engaged in anti-science. We've got to get our judges confirmed on this committee. You have 18 that have come out of the committee, and the Senate floor is slow, so fine, those will go through. But we need a pipeline, because when the Senate floor moves, I'd rather have 50 people ready rather than not having done anything for a month. Every day we wait is hurting the ability to get judges confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was one other issue I wanted to ask you about with regard to speaking out and taking courageous stands. There was a letter that was just pushed by Congresswoman Tlaib and signed by a number of other squad members. I think there were seven signatories. Go ahead and put this up on the screen, calling for the DOJ to drop charges against Julian Assange and defend freedom of the press. Freedom of press, First Amendment, it's an issue that I think you have been very courageous on. You've spoken out against. I'm wondering why you didn't sign on to this particular letter.
I didn't read the details, but I support the position, and that's the important thing. I've supported the position publicly that we should not be prosecuting Julian Assange because it's overbroad, the charges against him. What I've said is you should be prosecuted for actually hacking or taking classified secrets, but not for the dissemination as a publisher. And I actually co-authored the Protection of Journalists Act, saying that people publishing things should not be prosecuted. So I don't know if I glanced at the letter and there was some sentence I didn't like or something, but in terms of the actual position, I've been very clear and very early on it.
So and that was why I was surprised, actually, that you weren't on the letter. So you'd be willing to take another look at it and consider signing on to it?
I'm happy to take a look at it, but my public position is pretty clear, which is I don't believe that Julian Assange should be prosecuted. Obama didn't prosecute him. It's an overbroad prosecution. You should not be prosecuting someone for publishing something if they're not involved in actually engineering or hacking the leaks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we appreciate you joining us as always, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.